Back at it on Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta. And look, we got awful news over the weekend that Dwayne Haskins, the former Washington quarterback, Pittsburgh quarterback, first round draft pick in the NFL, had died after he was involved in basically getting run down hit by a truck, I should say, on a highway down in Florida over the weekend. Terrible news. He's about to be 25 years old. He'd have been 25 on May 2nd, so was just a couple of weeks away from celebrating another birthday out there. Well, unfortunately, in reporting all of this, guys seem to want to have their agenda and want to seem to, how do I say, over inform what you really need to know. So, for instance, take Adam Schefter. Now, here's why this is important. Adam Schefter was literally, because he got the information from Haskins' agent, Cedric Saunders, was literally going to break the story, put the first bit of news out there about this. So here's what Adam Schefter tweeted out once he got the news. Quote, Dwayne Haskins, a stand at Ohio State, before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida, per his agent, Cedric Saunders. Haskins would have turned 25 years old on May 3rd. Why did we need to have the struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh? First off, that's not accurate. From a factual standpoint, he was a first-round draft pick of the Redskins. Was he going to get cut right after he was drafted? Did I miss something about that? I mean, yes, he left Washington because it didn't work out, latched on with Pittsburgh, and was fighting to get a spot. But the sentence as it's written isn't even factually correct. So he didn't struggle to catch on with Washington. He was a first-round pick, and they made him their starting quarterback, right? Like, he got a chance to start. He even started some in Pittsburgh, right? So that's not even factually correct, just to put that out there. But understand that Schefter is the first guy who's putting the story out there. And the first thing that comes to his mind, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the ninth word of his tweet is struggling. Now, Adam Schefter's had a run of not so, good fortune about things that he's tweeted and he's put out on Twitter, basically saying that Deshaun Watson was innocent, even though it was a matter of there wasn't enough evidence that they thought to bring charges against him, and he still has civil lawsuits against him. And he got the Aaron Rodgers thing wrong. He got the Brady retirement wrong. There's a laundry list of things that Schefter put out there. But you have to understand, when you're the first person and you're the guy with almost 10 million followers that people turn to in the NFL for their breaking news and information, and you're going to be the first guy to break a story, you've got to basically tone down your rhetoric and what you think and all that, and just report what the facts are. Now, he deleted that tweet and put out another one saying, quote, Dwayne Haskins is standing at Ohio State before becoming Washington's first-round pick and playing in Pittsburgh, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida. Why was that so hard to do the first time? I don't know if Schefter writes his own tweets. I'm guessing he doesn't write his own tweets, but I know he's the guy at the end of the day responsible for the content that is put out. How does he or a proofreader or anybody look at something like that and say, yeah, this is the first message that we want to get out about the death of Dwayne Haskins? He was a struggling to hang on quarterback. That's the first thing that comes into your mind, because that was the ninth word that was typed out in that tweet. That makes no sense to me. Why do something like that? Why be the first source of information and you put it out with an insensitive tweet like that? How hard is it to look at and proofread? We've all been there, right? I can tell you personally, on Twitter, there's been many times when I've typed something out and I let my emotions get into it and I look at it and say, okay, do I really want to hit send on this? And I just wipe it all out and I start over again, or I just don't tweet at all about it. So that was ridiculous in itself. But another NFL analyst, and I say that very loosely, a guy who that honestly, I'm going to tell you, I've talked about this for years, Grandpa Munster, Gil Brandt, who is 90 years old, goes on NFL Sirius XM radio and is asked to comment about Dwayne Haskins' death and puts out things saying like, quote, he was a guy that was living to be dead. Quote, it was always something with Haskins. Quote, if he stayed in school a year earlier, he wouldn't be doing some of the silly things that he did. Where does that come from? Like, and again, I get that a 90-year-old guy doesn't have much of a filter now, but good Lord, is that the guy that I turn to for NFL information? Is that the guy I want commenting on anything? And then Gil Brandt put out this ridiculous tweet that he didn't type out because he has, again, a 90-year-old guy is not using Twitter. Sorry, hate to break your heart on all that, but a 90-year-old guy hasn't been putting out a Twitter, and there is a guy, and they put his name out on Twitter who wrote it for him, and it was ridiculous. But again, if you ask a 90-year-old guy that has no filter, I'm surprised they didn't call him boy. That's what you get with some of these goofballs in the media. These are the people that are first reacting and responding to information that we're gleaning from them. When I'm getting that information, it's coming from Schefter or it's, from a reaction from Gil Brandt. But this was not a good weekend for either one of those guys. First off, Gil Brandt shouldn't be on radio anymore. Sorry. There comes a point where these guys just outwear their welcomeness anymore. It happened to Pat Summerall. It happened to Keith Jackson. It's happened to Dick Vitale. It's happened to Digger Phelps, that you just keep hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. Lee Corso, you keep hanging on to all of these guys that their fastball is gone and they're now junk ball pitchers. And you just bring them on because the nostalgia of saying something they think is relevant. It's not. Gil Brandt's not relevant to today's NFL. I commend Gil for all the things he did, but at 90 years old, he's not relevant. And he proved it on Saturday with the stuff that he said about Haskins. None of this stuff needed to be brought up then. Now, Schefter even wrote an article chronicling Dwayne Haskins in his life and things like that. Sure, that's a play where you can put in his struggles at quarterback or his life in the NFL. But when the ninth word of your tweet is struggling for a 24-year-old guy who just got killed in a car wreck, that to me just doesn't seem like the time or place that when I'm trying to take credit for being the guy that's breaking the news story of what Dwayne Haskins did and did not do, putting the idea of the word struggling in there just didn't make sense. And it was insulting to guys in the NFL and college teammates and NFL teammates and stuff of his. And I commend those guys. They reacted, responsibly and said, this is ridiculous. Now, is anything going to happen to Schefter? No. He just signed what? $45 million for 5 years, right? He's getting $9 million a year. And we're 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. Ain't a chance he's getting suspended or he's going on leave or anything like that. We're in NFL draft season. We're in a time where he is rocking and rolling, and he's in the prime time right now of the league season. Nothing going to happen to him. But these guys, if they're going to be newsbreakers, have to be better at putting out their content. Sometimes it's okay to not put out content so fast that you miss the meaning and the point of what needs to be said in your tweets. All right. Subscribe to the Hitting Hard podcast. Go on Locked On Sports on Atlanta and on YouTube, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Want you to leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment. Tell us what you think about the show. We really appreciate everybody being part of our network now, Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. So we thank you so much for all the subscribers, and we're growing and growing and growing every single day as we literally just get this thing launched here now. We're just starting into our second week for all of it. So we will be back with you tomorrow. Appreciate everybody listening out there. Follow me on Twitter at JMCH316. This is Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.